is his name?
On this episode, Josh has amnesia.
Greetings, friends. It's Josh.
And I'm Ryan.
And this is another episode of the Dead Tired Dads podcast, which is a podcast for gamers who don't have time to game. So we're back for another hot new episode with Ryan. And unfortunately, Matt and Daniel are absent tonight.
They're mad at me.
They are mad at you.
For missing.
They are. Matt kicked you off his MySpace friends, man. You are down the list.
He didn't want to come if I was going to be here.
But no, it's good to have you back, Ryan. Yeah, I haven't seen you in a while because we took the break and then we came back.
Oh yeah.
So it's been a hot minute.
A while
since we've had you back on the podcast. So how's it been going?
Well, Josh, I did something really dumb.
Of course you did. You weren't here for the last episode.
That was the first thing I did that was
the
dumb.
last two episodes, in fact.
Then I did something else dumb. So, this has never come up on the podcast before, but you know it. I am a big hockey fan.
Yes, indeed.
And
has this not come? I feel like this has come up on the podcast before.
Maybe it has. Maybe we've been doing this for so long that I forget things.
Well, no, that's probable. No, but we had the one game that you play or that we talked about with Barry from the hockey game.
Oh yeah, we did because we talked about his favorite team and my favorite team. So we did talk. Yeah, we did talk hockey. All right.
Anyway,
so recently you and I have been texting because there was this thing in the hockey world, the Four Nations Face-Off.
Four Nations Face-Off,
which was fantastic, by the way. But that's neither here nor there. And so that plus you and I texting got you interested in hockey a little bit. You started playing a hockey game.
I did.
And you were like, hey, we should play this game together. And I keep telling you, I'm going to get Game Pass so we can play this game together.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, so here's the dumb thing I did.
Tell me about your dumb thing.
I keep putting off buying Game Pass because I got so many games for Christmas.
Yes.
That I keep thinking to myself, there's truly, like, why would I pay $20 right now for Game Pass when I have so many other games? So, we have talked on this show before about how awesome our library is.
Yes, indeed.
I went there today, and I got the hockey game that you've been playing.
Oh, nice.
So, I'm excited about that, right?
Yes.
I get it home, and then I have a realization.
It's got to download.
Not that.
Oh.
What do we need to play multiplayer together?
Oh, you have to have Game Pass.
You have to have Game Pass
to play multiplayer.
So I went and got this game. Like, yes, I saved myself the money. I can play this game with Josh.
No,
and then I had the realization after I got it home.
They've got to have something that allows you to at least do like online multiplayer without having to pay for Game Pass, right?
I think they do.
Maybe I'm wrong.
I think there's I think you can do the lowest cost version of it, like at Game Pass Core or whatever it is.
Yeah.
So like, there are a couple different options, but you do have to have one of the online
options.
Yeah. So
Xbox Live.
I was like so excited. I was just so excited when I got it. And then it wasn't until I got home that I realized what I had done. I was like, daggone it.
That's funny. I wouldn't have thought of that either.
And then yes, I put it in and I was like, well, I guess I'll play single player after this download.
After it downloads for 6 hours.
Yeah, exactly.
That hockey game, by the way, NHL 24. Yep. I've never played a hockey. Well, I won't say that. I played NHL 97 on a PC back in the day. So I was really, really bad at that one. But it's the only sports game, and this is getting way off track. But that's okay, because this is our news episode. If you didn't know, but we're gonna talk a little bit about games that we're playing right now, I guess, and that's okay. So I haven't played much sports games outside of Madden.
Yeah.
Like that's been it. And really the last Madden that I really played a lot of was like Madden 2007. It's been like 20 years since I've really played a Madden game like extensively. So there's a lot that I've missed out on on Madden. Since I've gotten Game Pass, I have played a little bit more Madden. And I like playing I like just playing, quick games here and there.
Right.
But I started playing NHL 2024, and I gotta say, it's probably the most fun I've had playing a game in
it's a blast.
Especially a sports game. It's not something that I expected. But I'm having a lot of fun with it. I'm did the be a pro thing, start your character kind of thing, and so I'm having fun with that. If you're not into sports games, you might want to give it a shot just to see, because it,
You know what's interesting about you saying that? I used to be almost exclusively into sports games, and I'm not really anymore. But I am of the opinion that the two sports games that are actually kind of the most fun are the hockey game and FIFA soccer.
Huh.
You would think that football or basketball or baseball would be the games that the game creators do the best work on. For whatever reason, they're not.
They're not.
So
well, it's because people care so much about Madden, right? I think anyway. But the thing is, Madden comes out every single flipping year. I had this realization the other day. They could not release a new Madden game and just update the game every single year anymore. You don't have to release the game. You realize that, right? You could just update it.
I've always thought, why don't you just do a $5 or $10, if you want to do some small graphics changes and new rosters and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Just put it out for $5.
Yeah.
People update it, but every year, $60, $70.
It's the most ridiculous thing in the world. And so I think they don't put any effort into it because they don't have to.
They really don't have to.
Because there's nothing, they're not doing anything.
And by the time it comes out, they're already working on the next one. Yeah. So it's
yeah, no, we could talk, I could go on a long rant about my problems with the way that EA handles the Madden franchise, but we won't do that right now. Maybe another day.
That's for another day.
That's another day. Maybe that's a blog post. I don't know.
Ooh. You're giving me ideas.
Yeah, for sure. So, anyway, that's a fun story with got
all the way home.
All the way home.
I was daggone it.
That's funny. I remember when it was just I'm just going to go over to my friend's house and we'll just play.
What a crazy concept.
No, you got to play online now.
Yep.
That's the only way to do it. You can actually you could probably do that split screen. I don't know.
Yeah, I'm sure you can.
We should go try.
We'll find out.
Yeah. Anyway, I have a funny story too.
Here we go.
Mine. So, I don't know about you, Ryan. I don't know that this has had to have come up, but I'm a big Settlers of Catan fan.
Oh yeah,
I love playing Settlers, or Catan, or whatever you want to call it. I love playing Settlers. I played a game recently at an event that I was at, and there was a buddy of mine and we were just going back and forth, kind of with the lead, who was ahead and who was winning and things like that. It got down to towards the end of the game, and this is the sequence of events that happened. Now, so my buddy had his pieces on a 10. I had my pieces on a... Wait, no. He had his pieces on a 6. Mine was on a 10. Got it. Okay, that's it. So it went... The rolling sequence went thusly. 7, which means that the robber comes out.
Yep.
So he rolls the 7 and blocks my 10.
Okay.
Then I rolled a 7
and
blocked his 6.
Yep.
Then the 10 rolls, followed by a 3. This happened 3 times in that exact same thing. 7, 7, 10, 3. So that his every time his 10 was rolled, it was blocked.
Yeah.
And so And it was just it was very funny, and maybe the story
That's
should
awesome.
just get edited out and not not be in the episode at all. And maybe we can just do that.
I love me some Catan.
No, I really do love playing Settlers. But no, it was just a really, really unfortunate series of events for him, in which, like, literally, it just went back to back 7-7, 10-3, 7-7, 10-3. It was very funny.
I like it.
Yeah, I wish I had told that story better, but that's okay.
I still liked it, Josh.
Yeah. It was a lot funnier in my head.
So we have this running joke, which is, it's interesting. You like Catan, I like Catan, but we've never played together.
That's true.
But there's a running joke in a group of mine that we've been playing Catan on and off for years. I don't know how it came about, but first couple of times we ever played, one of my strategies was going for the longest road.
Yeah.
And then, like, the third and fourth time we played, I kept swearing up and down, like, I'm not going for the longest road. I promise I'm not. And I really wasn't, but it became a thing to where, like, every time we play now, everyone's like, Ryan's not going for the longest road, guys. So.
Well, that's, like, the longest road is one of those things that, like, if you've adopted it as a strategy in the past, it feels like it just kind of, like, creeps into your psyche.
It just keeps happening.
And it just kind of, like, you just kind of do it without thinking about
it.
Until you, like, intentionally go, I'm intentionally not going to, like, I am not going to get the longest road. I'm going to do everything that I can to avoid getting the longest road. I'm just not going to do it.
And then you still get the longest road. So, yeah, that's the running joke in our group.
Anyway, so that's it for that. Why don't do we want to go ahead and just dive into the news? Do you have anything else? News it is. All right. So, first things first. This is really exciting for me. I don't know how anyone else who is associated with this podcast is going to feel about this.
Oh, yeah, I know where you're going with this.
Yeah. But I came across this article a little bit ago, and this part is actually old news, and it was an interview with Tony Hawk.
Hello.
Talking about how once Microsoft bought Activision, like, they had planned on doing a remaster of Tony Hawk 3. And once Microsoft bought Activision, all that conversation just stopped.
Yeah.
And this was a while back at this point. And I came across that article recently, and I was like, oh, man, we were going to have a remaster of Tony Hawk 3.
We're so close.
And then, like, 3 days later after I saw that article, I see another thing that, like, there's an Easter egg in Black Ops on one of their maps for Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 3 that they just released. And then the Tony Hawk website pops up with this thing saying on March 4th there's a big announcement. So, like, yes!
So Josh is just counting down the days.
I'm so excited.
To March 4th.
So we probably have another Tony Hawk remaster coming out.
Nice.
Which is I find exciting. I've talked about these games before, and I talked about when the remaster came out, and I now have the remaster on the PlayStation 4 and on the Switch. Like I said, I was going to not do. but I did it anyway, because you gotta. It's just such an easy game to play.
They're so fun.
It's one of those things where you can sit down, you can play it, and you can play it forever.
Yeah.
And even though you shouldn't, but like you could just, because it's just 2-minute sessions, and you just go and go and go and go. And it's just a ton of fun.
They're fun because you could have never put your foot on a skateboard in your whole life, and you could still play those games and be good at them and enjoy them. And that's an impressive thing to me. To be able to, like...
Well, it kind of goes back to our sports game conversation previously. Like, so one of the struggles that I've had with the NHL 24 is I don't know enough about hockey. I don't know how the game works. As a general rule, like, I just don't know the rules of hockey. And so, like, I'm just, pushing buttons and trying to do things and make things happen. And, like, I've got a penalty, and I'm like, I don't know what I did.
What did I do?
What did I do wrong?
He barely touched him.
Yeah.
The Mighty Ducks reference.
Right. The same thing with Madden. Like, Madden has a whole section of training that not only, like, teaches you how to play the game Madden, but like actually teaches you the positions of football and what players do.
Yeah.
And like you have to know those things in order to play those sports games. Like if you don't know those things, it's hard to play those games and have fun.
Yeah.
But with Tony Hawk, it's literally, you know, you don't have to know anything about skateboarding. You really don't.
No, because I've never. I mean, I probably somewhere in my teenage years tried to get on a skateboard, but I'm very athletic in many ways, but I cannot skateboard. I can ice skate, I can rollerblade. I mean, I'm very athletic, but I cannot skateboard. But I had a ton of fun playing Tony Hawk. So,
yeah, no, I don't know. It's such a they just did such a good job with those games and just making them fun. And also, I've been seeing a lot of stuff on this because the Facebook algorithm does this thing where if you hover over one thing, you start getting all of those things. You know, everyone knows this, right? So one of the other things that kind of came up from this, so there was this skater named Rodney Mullen who was like actually getting ready to retire from skateboarding. Like he was ready to be done.
Okay.
And when the Tony Hawk games were getting ready to come out, Tony Hawk goes to Rodney Mullen and is like, hey, do you want to be in this game? Now, this is the guy who invented the kickflip.
Okay.
Like, foundational trick for skateboarding. Like,
yep.
And he was just burnt out and he was done. And like the Tony Hawk games changed his entire life basically because it introduced him and introduced skateboarding to such a broad audience that people like became interested in these things and interested in him and it literally changed his life because of the game. So like, I don't know, man. Like there's something about the Tony Hawk games that's just special.
They're so much fun. They really are.
So that's what I got on that. So I'm excited about whatever news that they are going to have on the 4th. It might be a remaster, probably is, but maybe they're going to announce a new game.
Ooh,
that would be something else. But some cool stuff coming out for Tony Hawk soon.
You mentioned Activision and Call of Duty Black Ops, and this got me down a rabbit trail in my mind. I don't even know if this is news or not. Did you see on... I don't know if it's Call of Duty Warzone or what it is. I'm out of the loop on Call of Duty now.
I've never been into Call of Duty, so I have no idea.
Somehow, some way, I think it's the Warzone Call of Duty, which is like their free game battle royal mode.
Yeah, yeah.
Somehow, some way, they're releasing new skins or something.
Yes, all of those stupid games do that.
The new skins that you can get are the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
Yes, I saw that.
I don't know why.
See that. Yes.
I don't know why, but there you go.
For whatever reason.
For reasons.
Reasons. Reasons indeed.
So, if you are a Turtle fan and a Call of Duty fan, you can mesh those worlds. I guess. I don't really know.
Other things that news-wise. So Matt talked about Marvel Rivals in the last episode, and Marvel Rivals is going off like gangbusters. It's amazing. Everyone loves it. By the way, everyone who has anything to do with it, you're fired.
It's super popular. Everyone raves about it, so you're all fired.
Like, what on earth?
I don't know. I don't know about that one.
So the director and the full team.
Yep.
The full team behind Marvel Rivals is just like, no, like they're gone.
Everyone's out.
Everyone's out. And here's the other thing that I find interesting about this: the creative force, the company behind Marvel Rivals didn't even want to do it as Marvel. They wanted them to create new characters. Because they wanted to avoid the franchise issues that they were like the licensing issues that they were going to run into. And so now it's like, oh well, we couldn't get around the licensing issues like we did. Like we let you have that, but we're gonna let you go now.
You're fired.
Like so now we're gonna make all of the money. Like I just don't understand. That's the most bizarre thing that I have heard.
It's remarkable. Yeah, no, I haven't played it yet, but I have heard everyone that I have heard or talked to that has played it thoroughly enjoys it.
Yeah, no,
Like, they have good things to say about it.
Matt absolutely loved it. If you didn't hear that, go check out our previous episode. But like,
I read reviews; they get high scores. I watched like short videos on YouTube. It looks fun. Everything I see looks positive. So the result of that is you are all fired.
Yeah, I don't, and I think the company behind it was like, look, Marvel Rivals isn't going anywhere. This is just a restructuring. But it's like, okay, I understand that, but like, this is the team that made it.
I don't know.
Like, you're just gonna let them all go? Like, what?
It's a rough industry right now.
That is brutal. Like, no one is safe.
Yeah.
And that, I mean, again, like this, we've talked about this before, but like the amount of work and effort that goes into creating video games makes it very difficult to I think anyway, makes it to make an actual profit on video games with the way that the industry is currently structured. And I think that's going to have to change for things to get better. But when you have games that you're just spitting out carbon copies like Madden of the game every single year, but you're spending millions of dollars to acquire these companies, millions of dollars to develop these games.
Yep.
Even though you're not making any changes to them, you have to put something new out to try to recoup all of the money that you've put into it.
Right.
And like at some point it becomes not like the return on investment is not worth it, right? Like and so does that mean that creators stop creating, or does that mean that that companies are more apt to go, we're gonna not do that game? Like, I don't know, like obviously, like I think companies tend to pass up on games that might be risky.
Yeah.
That don't have the chance of being a huge blockbuster, and also don't have a chance of being something that you can repeat.
Yep.
You know, that's why we end up with all of these franchises that are just the same game over and over and over again. But I don't know. It's there's some interesting stuff going on in the game world when it comes to that, because that's a wild story. Like, you've done everything that you could possibly do. You did everything right. You come out with a hit game and you're still fired.
You're gone.
Like, insane. Absolutely insane.
I got nothing. I don't know.
I don't know. To me, it's outside of the realm of what should be possible.
I had to like do a double take on it because
I didn't believe it.
I saw the headline or something like that, and I was thinking, oh, maybe I'm thinking of two different games, because surely this isn't the game that everyone is raving about that is also firing everyone.
Yeah,
but
I did not believe it when I saw it.
True.
I was like, there's no way. There's no way.
It is true.
There's totally a way.
You're fired.
Oh, man. Maybe the president had something to do with it.
Oh, gosh. No, Josh, we've lasted so long.
You're fired.
Without getting canceled. We have made it so far.
Oh, man. You're fired.
I
don't know. I doubt. Maybe I shouldn't have made that joke. That's an Apprentice joke, by the way.
I love
That's
it.
not. That has nothing to do with anything that's going on. We are apolitical here.
I love it.
Like,
I love the joke.
Apprentice joke.
If that's what takes us down, I'm going down with the ship. I appreciate the joke.
We've also talked on this show about the Street Fighter the movie, the game.
Oh, yes.
Yes, Street Fighter the movie, the game. So speaking of Street Fighter, there is a new Street Fighter movie that's coming out.
The movie.
So I don't know. I can only hope. That we will get another Street Fighter the movie, the game soon. Like, that's the dream, right?
Oh my!
Street Fighter the movie, the game 2.
That is the dream. The dream.
Oh man, I just there's
I did see something about that the other day, because people were trying to, you know how they will use like AI to on different actors to see like who would look good as.
Right.
The one I saw was Guile.
Okay.
You know, so I can't even remember who some of the actors were, but you know, that's how I heard about it.
Arnold Schwarzenegger as Guile. I mean, obviously.
Duh.
He's 100% American, don't you know?
Something like that.
No, there are so many great AI videos of people replacing actors in movies with Arnold Schwarzenegger.
With just him?
Like, there's one of from Lord of the Rings where it's just like everyone around the Council of Rivendell has been replaced by Arnold Schwarzenegger. It's so
awesome.
funny. So funny. You guys should go check that video out. That's really, really good stuff. Yeah. So Ryan, what about do you have any other news? Because I got some more stuff, but I've been talking a lot.
I have a couple things. Josh, I can't believe I'm going to say this. I'm a little bit mad at Nintendo right now.
Uh-oh.
I know.
No.
I am.
Not Nintendo.
It's true.
Ryan, why?
I know.
What did Nintendo do to you?
Okay, so we've talked a couple times on this show about the game Palworld.
Yes.
And
yes.
The obvious imitation is the sincerest form of flattery.
Right. The copyright issues that Palworld has with Nintendo
has filed, as of this recording, because it has changed over the last couple days, Nintendo has filed now 24 lawsuits against Palworld.
Yes.
24.
Yeah.
And some of them are absurd.
I'm sure they are.
I've read them and they're absurd. One of the lawsuits they filed is it has to do with riding a mount in a video game.
Well,
because Pokemon's the first one to ever do that.
Right.
Come on.
Yeah. No, obviously they're just trying, that's one of those things where you just throw as much stuff at someone to try to make them understand, to try to get them to back off.
And that's what they're doing.
But yeah, no, that Nintendo is ridiculously protective of their IP, and I understand why. But I actually read a recent story on this, and I actually don't know. I didn't validate any of this information, so I could be this could be way off base. But I saw that when Nintendo was first getting into arcade stuff, they would release arcade games and just do the arcade game -in and release it. So they would take the game that already existed, redevelop it and repackage it as their own, but basically title it it's the same game.
Yeah.
And they would just do it -in for Nintendo.
Yeah.
Nintendo's version of this game.
Yeah.
And so I wonder if they're so hyper protective of their IP because they know what can happen if you're not. If you're not.
Yeah.
Those people were not protective enough of their IP to come after Nintendo at that point in time to go hey, that's actually my game. You can't do that.
Right.
But I think Donkey Kong was the first, Mario Brothers and Donkey Kong were the first games that they actually put out that were theirs.
Huh.
But before that, it was oh yeah, this is, I don't think Pac-Man was one, but this is Pac-Man -in.
And they
and they just put it out there. And people were playing Pac-Man, but it was Pac-Man -in.
It was there, stolen,
and Nintendo
or
was getting all the money.
Yeah.
So, again, I didn't validate any of that, so that could be a completely false story, but that's what I read.
It sounds good, though.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I totally understand not letting people rip you off.
For sure.
And stealing your stuff. But if you go and read the lawsuits and what they're filing, it's not anything that... I have played Palworld. I actually started playing it again because of reading all this news. There is something very obviously copied from Pokemon. It's not any of the 24 things that they've filed lawsuits on.
Wait, what?
The thing that is an obvious copy is they're called PALs in Palworld. they are clearly almost stolen. I mean, like
right. The pals are Pokemon.
I was texting a buddy the other day.
Allegedly, the pals are allegedly Pokemon.
I was texting a buddy the other day, and I said, "Where do you find Pikachu?" Obviously, it wasn't called Pikachu; it's called something else. But it's a Pikachu. You look at it, and you're like, "I know exactly what that is."
Right.
That's the thing that they could have very easily said, "No, you stole that from us."
Right.
But that's not what they're doing. They're doing dumb stuff like riding a mount and having wild monsters visible out in a field. Literally, one of the lawsuits says, out in a field.
Yeah.
As if they're the first person to ever do that.
I don't know. Like that... Like I said, I feel like that's one of those things you just like throw as many lawsuits at someone as possible to.
And they are, because I read an article right before I came over here that and again, I don't know if this is true, but this article claimed that all of the dollar amounts in these lawsuits are like the smallest dollar amount Nintendo's ever done in any of their lawsuits. So they don't even care about the money. It's just a message of.
That's so wild. Like, it's bizarre. It is a bizarre thing. Again, I respect Nintendo. I love Nintendo. Nintendo has been around for a long time, and they've been doing this for a long time. But, like, it's one of those things where, like, I get it. They stole but you don't own the concept, right? Like,
right.
You can't, and this is what the lawsuit's going to find, right? Like, the lawsuit is going to find that you, at least my assumption. I'm not a lawyer. This is not legal advice. This is from a video game nerd. Like, all the disclosures, all the things about that. Like, I'm not speaking any kind of legal truth here.
Yeah.
This is all alleged stuff.
Just your...
Like, this is just my personal opinion. Because I don't want to be on Nintendo's bad side, because I want them to hashtag sponsor us.
Yes.
But I think that the way that they're going about this, and the way that they sometimes are a little overprotective of their IP, is a bit of an aggravation for a lot of people.
Yeah.
And I'll leave it at that.
So, they, like I said, as of this recording, they've filed 24 lawsuits. 23 of them have already failed.
Oh, well, there you go.
Because they've been things where the judge finds you don't
they're,
own the concept of riding a mount.
They're literally just trying to get Palworld to stop.
Yeah.
And they're not going. Like, they want them to think about what they're doing.
The one that was successful was Palworld had to update their game and change it to where you cannot throw a ball or a sphere and have your pal come out of it.
Okay. Well, and that's fair.
That was so they're 1 for 24, and that was the one.
But that's a fair, I think that's a fair thing to say. Like, hey, like this is a...
Apparently Pokemon did that first, and they're the only ones who have done it. So now I remember when I first played the game, you would aim where you wanted to throw the sphere.
Right.
And now you just press the button and it drops at your side.
Okay.
You can't throw it anymore. So
okay.
Whatever. But anyway.
Oh, man. We love you, Nintendo.
I do love Nintendo. That's
frivolous
the thing.
Lawsuits aside.
But yeah, it's news because as of like a week ago, that number was 22 lawsuits, but it's now up to 24.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
That's wild. 24 lawsuits.
Yeah.
Not really video game news, but something interesting or at least something I thought was interesting that I came across that is kind of retro game related. A blindfolded Mario 64 speedrunner so just stop there. Like,
I'm impressed already.
Blindfolded Mario 64 speedrunner. So that's the only thing about the headline that matters to me. Like, blindfolded Mario 64 speedrunner.
That's good enough. I mean, that's...
Apparently, he had some issues that, like, he was doing it blindfolded. He was about to break a record and then had something happen that caused his time to be invalid.
No.
But what are we doing? Like, what are we doing? I mean, I love Mario 64. I think it's a great game. And I think I have all like mad respect to this dude. Like blindfolded.
Yeah.
But like, why?
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 The game is fun. If you actually play through the full game, it's really fun.
Yeah, it's a great game. Why do we need to play through the game blindfolded at the,
As fast as you can.
Yeah, and glitch out? Like I don't know, but so his webcam went out or something like that, so it invalidated the
of course,
thing.
you know.
But I just don't like. I don't know, man. Like
I remember thinking this when Breath of the Wild came out.
yes,
Because it was like it had been out for like 2 days when I saw this headline like speedrunner beats Breath of the Wild in 9 minutes or whatever it was.
Right.
And I was like, but why? It's so fun.
I mean, I could see like I can understand like being like, hey, how quickly can
Yeah.
how quickly can I do this? Like, can I just? But like, why do we? I mean, Mario 64 is like 30 years old.
Yeah, why?
Like,
why now?
Why are we still trying to break the game to the point where it's just like, oh yeah, like I can break this game more than you can, and like if you legitimately beat the game like super quick, great, good for
Yeah.
you. But like at some point, I feel like we need to get like I don't know. I'm not a speedrunner fan, and so like maybe I'll make all the speedrunner fans mad, but I just don't understand
Yeah.
speedrunning up to an extent, right? Like figuring out how to beat the game as fast as you can, that's one thing. Figuring
Yeah.
out how to break the game so that you can beat it,
Yeah. Like,
it's fun.
like if you go
but
stand
why are
on
we
this
making it a
exact pixel and jump
Right.
this certain way.
Why are we doing it blindfolded? Like
Reasons.
why? Like you know. But again, kudos to that guy for attempting it. But I just find that an odd.
Do you remember?
I find it an odd thing.
I think it was Halo 2, maybe. You remember on Halo 2 when people would figure out, like, if you...
Yeah, the
like,
hyper jumps.
You jump just on the right
Yeah,
place.
yeah, the
it would,
hyper
like,
jumps.
blast you way out of the map and stuff.
Yeah, the hyper jumps. I had friends that would do that. And you know, some guys that tried to teach me. I could never do it. But
Every
yeah.
time I tried, what happened is I stood there jumping like an idiot while someone shot me.
Yeah, someone sniped you.
Yes.
Someone who had actually done the hyper jump
Yes.
on what was that one with the big tower? I can't think of what it was called. But yeah, they'd get up, they'd do the hyper jump, get on that big tower where no one could, and they
Yep.
just snipe people all day.
The whole match.
Yeah, and you know, of course they won, but
Yep.
that was I don't know. I hated that. I hated that game for that reason, because I came into Halo late, like at least as far as like a competitive like player,
Yeah.
and so like when I got to college, like I was playing, like we would play on the network,
Yep.
you know, on LAN and connect to other guys in the dorms, and I would just get my butt handed to me
Oh,
for
yeah.
so bad, because like these people had been playing for so long, and I had a friend who played through the first Halo game on Legendary and beat it without firing a single shot.
What?
Yeah, no, like legitimately, dude was nuts, insanely good at the game, and he like actually like showed me like this is how this game works and how you actually play the game. Like,
Yeah.
and like when you're, you know, you can't just pull the triggers and hold it. You have to, you know, tap them so that you don't like just like pull up and shoot into the sky. So like he was really, really good. But like there were other guys, and he was a really nice guy, and that was what was really cool. Like, but there were guys that were like just absolute jerks about it, like just absolute jerks about it, and like those were the guys who would like get up on those things and like snipe people and just be, and that was all they were good at.
Yeah.
Like that was all they were good at. They were just like, I know the tricks, I can get up here and snipe you, and I'm really good at getting headshots.
Yep.
And it's like, okay, but that's not the point of, like, that's not
This
why we're
is
playing.
fun.
This is, you know, but my buddy he was actually really good at the game.
Yeah.
And we went, when Halo 3 came out, we went to like the midnight release, and there was like a tournament at it wasn't GameStop, it was EB Games.
EB
I think it was
Games.
EB Games
Oh,
at the
yeah.
time that we went to, and there was a tournament that they had for Halo 2. at EB Games, and we were playing, and he and I were doing really well, and but it was free for all, so it wasn't like we weren't like on teams or anything like that, and so I was chasing after someone, and he killed me, and when he killed me, like it ended up being the guy who ended up beating him that I was trying to kill. And so he ended up in second place, but because he killed me, and if he hadn't killed me, he would have gotten first. Yeah, it was really funny. But anyway, sidetrack. That's my Halo story.
Halo stories. Good times.
Good times indeed. Good times indeed. Let's see. What else have we got? Oh. We were talking about AI earlier, and I meant to bring this up. I forgot.
Oh, yeah.
Microsoft has a new thing called Muse that they've released that is developing games. Now, this ties everything together. It's all a conspiracy now. I feel like that guy with the map behind me going,
Yes.
The string map.
I love that. I love that meme so much.
So, like, here's the deal. Like, you've got all of these developers and things like that are scared to death of doing anything original and new.
Yep.
And all they want to do is put out the same game over and over and over again.
Yep.
And now you've got that same company that's buying up all of these who's buying up all of these companies. Microsoft has developed an AI that is going to develop the games themselves. So now they have the rights to all of these franchises.
And they don't even have to pay anyone.
And they don't have to pay anyone to develop them.
Yeah.
Like, they can just force feed, like, here's the last 20 Assassin's Creed games. Make a new one.
Make another one.
And it'll do it.
Love it.
And, like, oh my gosh, it's going to be awful.
It's going to be so bad.
It's going to be the worst Assassin's Creed game ever. But that's right now. In like 5 years, or I mean, probably like 2 years, it's going to be like, those AIs are going to be spitting out amazing, like, just like absolutely perfect games. And people will lap them up like,
oh yeah,
like it's just going to be like, oh, have you seen the new AI generated? And it's like people are going to pay like tons of money for them.
Well, I thought before the episode when you said something about AI, I thought you were going to talk about because I saw this online last night. I think it's pronounced Grok. Whatever the Elon Musk / Twitter / X, whatever it's called now, has an attached AI.
Okay.
And I think it's pronounced Grok. It's Grok.
Okay.
Well, now Grok 3 is out, and people are using it. Like, someone used Grok 3 last night to have it create a Pac-Man game for them, and it just literally just spit out Pac-Man.
Okay.
Onto their Twitter or computer or whatever. I don't understand it.
Wow.
So, yeah, and then other people jumped on board, and like 2 or 3 games were just spit out in a matter of minutes. And
yeah.
Then Elon Musk jumped on and started talking about the future of this. And so, yeah, I thought that's what you were going to talk about when you said AI. So it's not just Microsoft. This is like a thing now.
Yeah. Well, I mean, AI is going to jump in everywhere, right? Like, it's going to be the thing. And it's a matter of figuring out, like, and this is beyond our capacity and, anything we have any control over. But, like, figuring out, like, what is appropriate for AI to do and what is inappropriate for AI to do. Yep. Like, I think that, and I do think that what will happen with these major developers, I think they will largely turn to AI to come up with and to generate a lot of the stuff. So you're going to lose your graphic artists and those kinds of things like that. Yep. The problem is that those guys are so stuck. Those developers are so stuck in next big thing, where they're just churning out the same game over and over and over and over and over again. That actually, I think that AI in those spaces actually ends up leading to better video games as a whole. Yeah. Because I think you'll have companies that sprout up that actually start creating unique and creative things that are actually fun again. So again, I could be completely off base on that, but I think that could be a cool, like, that's the optimistic view that if you could take that, you could take that as an optimistic view of how things could play out. it could also play out horribly wrong where you just end up with a bunch of crap games. But the one thing though, and we've talked about Nintendo a little bit here, I think I would say that Nintendo would not, I don't believe that Nintendo would go that route.
Yeah, they'll certainly be the last to adopt it.
Absolutely.
If they do at all.
Yeah.
I'd be surprised if they did.
Yeah. I just don't see them in this iteration of Nintendo.
They really don't need to. I mean,
No.
their bread and butter is themselves, right?
Right.
Mario, Pokemon, Zelda, Metroid. They don't need to.
Well, and all of their games are unique in the way that they develop them,
Yeah.
right? Like, so the last Mario game, Mario Wonder, that came out is completely different.
Yeah.
Than, not completely, but like there are certain elements that remind you of some older Mario games, but it's not. You're taking elements from this game and you're introducing new ones.
It's very much its own unique thing.
Yes. So I think that's an interesting way to go. But we'll see how that plays out as time goes on. Speaking of Assassin's Creed, I'm going to back up a little bit. I did hear rumor that they're making a new Assassin's Creed Black Flag. So like a Black Flag 2. Now, I will say I have been very disappointed with the more modern Assassin's Creed games. I haven't played anything since probably Origin.
Yep.
And I did not beat that game. I was not interested in it. Like I bought it, I played it, and I tried to get into it. It was too much. Like I just didn't care enough about it. But the last game that I remember playing that I thought this is fun, like I'm having a good time with, was Assassin's Creed Black Flag.
There you go.
So that could be a good thing. I don't know that I don't know that even if it comes out, even if that rumor is true, I still don't know that I'm going to take the time because it's so like those games became so massive. And
it's insane.
Like, it's just stupid how big they are, and I just don't have time for that.
Yeah, they became a whole different beast than what they originally were.
And I remember like you could go back and play like the first Assassin's Creed. It is nothing.
No,
it is nothing like the insanity.
They're totally different
that the games have become. And like the first one was so unique and so innovative and so just wild. And then the second one was, similarly, like it took what was good about the first one and just expanded on it.
Yeah. And
then it just became this behemoth of garbage after that, it feels like. So, but anyway, Assassin's Creed Black Flag 2 could be, with a return to like the, Kinway and I think his name was Kinway. Could be interesting. So
there you go.
Yeah. But yeah, it's interesting. We're talking about like how we've talked a lot about how in this episode how like people are just kind of churning out the same games over and over again, and Assassin's Creed is kind of for me that's kind of a staple of games that do that. Can you imagine if like the first Assassin's Creed game had come out in like on the 64?
Oh my gosh!
Like, so what I'm getting at here is like the amount of change between like if Assassin's Creed had come out on the 64 and then 10 years later had come out on the PlayStation, 2.
Yeah.
Like the amount of updates
that would have been
I guess that would have been PlayStation 3 at that point, 10 years after the 64. So let's say it came out midway through the 64's life and then comes out on the PlayStation 3 10 years later.
Yeah.
Like the amount of graphical difference between N64 Assassin's Creed and PlayStation 3 is massive.
Big jump.
Is a huge jump.
Yeah.
From PlayStation 3 to now, it's barely anything.
Yeah,
it seems like
it's
like nothing.
It's not much.
Nothing. I don't feel like the graphical differences that we're making in games right now is anything. And so like, just think for us, like we grew up like starting off with like pixelated Mario.
Yeah.
And then graduated up to like 3D Mario to the point where then it was like, oh wow, like fully rendered, like not polygon Mario.
Yeah.
or Brick Mario, as my son likes to call him.
Brick Mario.
Brick Mario.
I like it.
You know, like that's a lot of change to see in that same time frame, like 2000 to now. Like like the changes have not been as drastic in the you know, the 10-year time span.
Right.
You know, it's crazy to me how little the graphics have changed.
Yeah.
And maybe, you know,